And welcome back to the show, everyone. This week, we've got another great guest. He's a recent graduate. Please welcome to the show. This is Andy Besbrode. He's a 3D motion designer and a recent graduate from Leeds back at university. Welcome, Andy.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, no worries, no worries. I guess, yeah, let's delve in then. We'd really like to know sort of where you came from in terms of what you studied at university and what did it for you to get into the industry?
I guess before uni, I'd been freelancing in motion design since high school, really, the end of high school. I think I saw Tron Legacy when that came out, and I was just fascinated by the 3D world, and I think that just started everything. And then it was just a progression to get to uni, and yeah, from there it's just skyrocketed, and it's just exponential.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm always interested to know what were the flags for people. You know, what were the sort of calling signs or sort of like signposts in the industry. So you mentioned Tron there as one particular thing that really sort of turned you on.
Yeah, that's the one specific one that I can remember. I can't remember any others, but that was just the one that sticks in my mind, is the Tron remake.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. And I guess the first sort of opportunity that you had in terms of a job in the industry, what was the build up to that like? Was it a simple sort of CV application, or did you make some connections, or what was that process like for you?
So I think about a year into uni, maybe a little bit less, I decided to create a website without any prompting from any of the lecturers. It was just my own decision to do that. And I put it out there, and it seems like I got a lot of hits on that. So before I'd even graduated, I think it was 2018 was the year I graduated. And in that January, I got an email from a studio in Leeds, and they just wanted to make friends. I came in for a chat, and I was chatting with them back and forth for 6 months. I was sharing my final year work with them, and they were giving me feedback, and it was just this conversation, that's friendly conversation that was going on. And by the end of it, towards June, July, they invited me in to do like a week's trial placement kind of thing, but with no strings attached. It was more of see how we work, see how we get along. Maybe there's something in it, I don't know, but there was no promises or anything like that. So I went in for my couple of weeks and just grafted, tried to prove myself. And I got the call back to be like, do you want to come work for us full time?
That's amazing. I guess it's in many ways you don't know where these sort of leads and avenues may take you, but it's always good to sort of, start to poke around the industry and sort of pull the string a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So did you start many of these conversations, and then the one that actually landed you is the one that you had the placement with?
Well, it's funny, like the one that landed was the most genuine conversation. It was the one with no strings attached. I did have a lot of conversations with a lot of the studios just by contacting them, or they found my website again. And it seems like, the only one that stuck was the genuine one. And it was nice that they didn't just want a skill set. And I think that's what I appreciated most about that.
Yeah. Because I understand you have some like all-rounder skills, right?
Yeah.
So do you want to talk a bit about that, about how you've gone through these different skill sets, and are you still an all-rounder now, or have you focused on something in particular?
Yeah, so I guess the nature of motion design is it's generalist. There is avenues and specific routes to take if you really have a knack for something, or you're really interested in something. But my problem was I was interested in everything, and I got bored of things very quickly, and I wanted to be able to jump to the next thing and then maybe jump back. It was that was a problem. So I wanted to develop all these skill sets, and that obviously comes with its caveats. Is there's nothing really specific that I'm good at. I'm sort of like across the board generalist. Maybe in time there will be an avenue I will find myself heading in. But yeah, if I was to put a pin in it, it would be 3D motion design is like something I'm quite passionate about. But the skills for 2D are there as well.
Yeah. I guess is there any skills that you've sort of ruled yourself out on because you have maybe gone exploring these different areas and you've come across one particular thing where you're like, I know my boundaries and I know this is not my thing. Is that a sort of method that you've used as well?
That's not a method I've used, but there is skill sets that I've just not dove into as hard as I could have. For example, hand-drawn animation, cell type stuff. I don't think I have the patience for it. It's too frustrating for me personally, and I've done it, and I've had jobs where I've done it, and I just can't draw. There's only so far my skill level will take me, and that's storyboarding, and that's for my own sake, not anybody else's.
Yeah. I think it's good to learn the things that you don't like as well, though, right? Completely.
Yeah.
And I guess apart from the university degree, is there any sort of value, or have you any desires to get any sort of professional qualifications, such as maybe any ones from Adobe or any of the other manufacturers?
I've not found any use in my degree as a statement, as a qualification, written down on a piece of paper in gold lettering. That's just not done anything for me as in my career. I guess I'm proud of it, and I'm glad I did it, but that's not what's got me my job. And I don't think getting any other kind of qualification would. It's strange. A lot of the places I applied to didn't necessarily require any qualifications, and the only places that did seem to be the studios and agencies that didn't really know what they wanted in an employee. So they just they put it out there as, we want a qualification, because they can trust that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my view on that.
No, it's completely understand. And I guess just sort of talking a bit more about leaving university campus and embarking on that career search. Was it a mix of sort of perseverance, bravery? Was it the strength of your portfolio? Was it connections that you made, or was it sort of a mix of all of that?
So I guess it's a bit of everything. You can say a lot of it was luck, because the studio I ended up working for contacted me first. I didn't know they even existed. So you could say that was luck, but I don't think luck is the right word for it. I think it's preparation meets opportunity. If you're not prepared for it and the opportunity comes along, they're just going to bypass you. So the skill set, the fundamentals were there, ready to be, imprinted and built upon and trained up. And I think like soft skills, personality is generally like a big thing that a lot of people seem to want, which I wasn't aware of at the beginning. And that is the main advice I definitely give to students is work on your soft skills majorly.
Yeah, because I guess when it comes down to it, it's sort of the 3 C's. So it's competency, can you do the job, which might get you into an interview. There's sort of chemistry as well. So it's can you do the job? Can you do it here? And can you do it with us? Which, when the soft skills come in, right? And it's interesting you said about it's not necessarily about pure luck, but people make their own luck in some ways, don't they?
Yes.
So by attending certain things, by updating certain blogs, or sending CVs somewhere, then you are sort of creating that look at the same time. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Preparation is key, and that could be anything, right? That could be making a website to making a friend. It could be anything.
Yeah. So some people might think, what's the point in doing this, when actually somebody might see something that you posted, for example, and it might open a door somewhere, even though A lot of people might think, what's the point in doing this? Well, you never know who's watching or listening and who might get in contact with you. So I guess I'd like to also, talk about, you're in a great job now. Has there been any moments of like huge elation that stick out for you?
So I'm pretty fresh into this new job right now. It's only been a few months, but I guess over the past few years, and my elation, things I'm proud of aren't necessarily jobs I've done, like specific client jobs I've done. It's been more about personal growth, because at this point in my career, I'm still growing on a trajectory which is quite steep. There's been no plateauing yet. Touch wood. The elation I'd say is being able to battle my fears, and that comes in two ways. That's like a fear of software. My main software group is Houdini, so that was super scary to get going on, and I'm glad I just jumped in at the deep end and did it, because I'm not sure what I would have been able to accomplish elsewhere.
And sorry, go on.
And I was going to say, my second fear is something I still want to keep, and it's being scared of a job. I found that if I'm not scared of something I'm going into, I'm not going to put as much effort in. And I know it sounds strange, but being worried and maybe slightly anxious about something always tends to push me to make it better. And it's strange how that works out every time. It's a little weird recipe of mine, but it works.
Because I always think, when are the most dynamic times for a person? And I don't know whether this rings true for you, but when you leave that university campus and you're sort of on your own and you're a bit worried about it, but actually looking back, that could have been one of the most dynamic times of your career, because it's almost like greenfield, right?
Right. There was no gap in between me leaving uni and getting the job. It was pretty much set. I was going to get that job. So I had no time to worry, but up until that gap. So there was the gap between January and June, whenever I graduated, that I was grafting to get that job. It might not have seemed like it, but me making friends and being friendly and being passionate, showing my true self, that was a graft in itself. And I think that is definitely me being scared of not getting that job helped me get that job.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the way that people sort of use maybe social media and like their sort of personal brand. So it could be some profiles on social media, or it could be their own website, or it could be one of these places that you're able to show a portfolio on. Are these the sort of things that helped you with your own sort of personal style and to express that to would-be sort of employers?
But personally, I don't use those websites to show my own work, because sadly, I can't show a lot of my own work because it's either white labeled or non-disclosure. I like to use those websites instead for inspiration.
Yeah,
and it's kind of a difficult subject, because it's easy to plagiarize unintentionally, because it's just everything's so saturated, and there's so many artists out there doing so many great things, and subconsciously you can make the same thing. So I do flick through and look on those sites, and I try stay away from them as much as I can and find inspiration elsewhere, whether that's books or print. I try not to look directly too closely at artists of a similar skill set or job role for that reason.
Yeah, no, that's totally understandable. And I guess I'd probably like to think about what you think is a measure of success in your career. So what makes you get up every day and gives you that passion and drive? What's the definition of a successful career for you, Andy?
I'm not entirely sure. I haven't worked that one out yet. I am happy to go to work every day. It does. It's very different to being at uni. Being at uni is a lazy lifestyle. At least it was for me. being in a routine and knowing what's going to happen during your day. And I guess one thing I really do enjoy that makes work fun is problem solving. And I think that is the main part of my job, is being able to find a problem and fix it. And that might take a week, that might take an hour, but that is what I guess defines success for me, is being able to repetitively do my job, which is solve problems.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And it's interesting that you say, the difference between, the sort of university work that you was producing and perhaps the lifestyle. How high is the bar between the projects that you're producing at uni and what the real life industry projects are like? Is it sort of a massive sea change?
Yeah, it's huge. It's strange because when I was at uni, I felt like there was all this pressure on me, and I felt there was loads of work to do. And then when I got into industry, if you sort of ignore all the essays and sort of typed up stuff that you won't really be doing in industry unless you're a producer or someone of that caliber.
Yeah.
If you take all the physical work and you compile that, you'd probably be expected to do that within a matter of weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks in the industry. It's just so fast paced compared, and the margin of error is so small because clients have very high expectations or very, very low, depends on who they are and what kind of relationship they have with the people you're working for. But the pace changes, the amount of work changes, and the I guess the expectation is so much greater.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd like to ask you now, in sort of hindsight and a bit of a retrospective, if you could speak to your sort of first year uni self now, what would you sort of say to yourself?
Yeah, I definitely give myself a kick.
Yeah.
I'd tell him to leave his ego at the door, and to completely ignore that and just build upon your skills and forget about all these people that are telling you how good you are at that one piece of software that you've maybe had a couple extra months on than them. It is easy to get sucked into that, but if forget all that and just focus on growing and not plateauing, and just stay interested, stay updated, and yeah, keep being interested in stuff. Never stop exploring.
Yeah. And I guess, is there any more sort of advice looking at the first, second, and final years? Was there any did you step up a gear in the third year, or was you a constant sort of grafter throughout the 3 years, or is there anything around that?
Yeah, I'm not sure how other people's courses are going to work, but mine specifically, year 2 was broad, really broad. So I did worse in year 2 than any other year. And then because third year came along and I got to choose my path, I did better in that, obviously, because I got to do what I wanted to do. And I picked the things I was not only comfortable with, but I knew I was interested in enough to build and grow forwards. So I mean, it's easy to say find something you're interested in and go that path, but a lot of people aren't going to know what that is. So I guess I don't know how to advise on finding that, but I guess don't worry about it. It will come eventually.
Yeah. No, that's great. And then is there sort of what was it like in terms of support from the university? I mean, it must have been a sort of really pressurized time, especially in the last sort of 6 months, maybe creating your final projects. Was there any help from them sort of leaving and sort of helping you in?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of support, but I think the nature of the course was set in a way to build you up for the industry, kind of subliminally. It was a lot of self-study, a lot of self-reflection. You could go in and you could talk to the lecturers and get some feedback, but there's only so much knowledge they know in terms of software, just because it's an ever-evolving industry. Software is changing every month. So if you really wanted to succeed, you would have taken that time into your own hands and learned yourself. And I think that was what is truly good about that style of course, is if you can't hack that, you can't hack the real industry.
Definitely not, no.
No.
And I guess looking forwards, Andy, you seem to be in a good place now, but is there any sort of goals or dreams that you still got to fulfill? Any direction?
Not specifically. I guess I'm still trying to figure out what that is, but I'm just letting the wind blow me in a direction, and I'm just going with it. And that tends to take me in the right place, and I trust that. I trust my gut.
Yeah, that's always good to trust your gut, right? Because it's mostly right.
Yeah, it's been right so far, so I'm not going to discount that yet.
Oh, that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And I guess you've got your own personal website if the listeners want to have a look at some of your previous work. That's andybesbrode.com. And you're also on Instagram, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's made_in_Andy for his Instagram profile there. So yeah, I'd just like to say a big thank you, Andy. It's been
my pleasure.
It's been a fascinating insight with your journey coming from university into the real world, essentially.
Yeah, I appreciate your time.
Okay, thanks again, Andy. Talk to you again
Thanks
soon.
very much.
Okay, bye.
Bye.